BJ Nix, are you here?
Present.
Present. Spoonie, Timothy Spoonie.
Present, sir.
Margaret and Mary. Do we have a Margaret and Mary?
Yes. Cool. And the margaritas.
All right. Class here. We're ready. Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
Okay.
This is the time to line up behind your team, to support your team. Have faith in that team.
You know, it's peaks and valleys. You know, it can't always be good. And as I always tell people, you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. But when we do know about
house call, Trevon Diggs pick six. It's coming. They see it. Knocked away. Oh, Gregory. Hurts in trouble. 3 Cowboys wrap him up, make it 4. Micah Parsons is unblockable.
You know, special week. We don't have the rights to the music, YouTube. Don't ban us. Don't ban us. I know it's Christmas right upon us. Christmas Eve. I don't care if it's Gardner Minshew. I don't care if it's Jalen Hurts. I don't care if it's Randall Cunningham, Spoon. I don't care. I don't care if we can't win the division no more. I don't care. Line up. Hey, hit them low. I don't care. It's Eagles week. I don't care, Spoonie. I don't care. Oh, I'm just saying I don't care. I don't care. I do not care. by any means necessary, the whole nine. There's a lot for us to talk to. There's a lot to get into. From Jacksonville, injury standpoint, schematically, the whole nine. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's daggum Eagles week. It is what it is. And that's going to be the energy all the time. Fair? Hopefully, shouts over in the comment section. First and foremost, we're on the cusp. I will say this and drop this in the comment section too. I wrapped up. Now, a Spoon and I ask y'all as well. I penciled down. We used to do the pencil down. We do that during the draft time. Our pencils are down. We're done. My Christmas shopping is officially over. I ain't got to do nothing else. Today, I closed that chapter around 3:30 today. Spoonie, are you through with your Christmas shopping?
Yes, and we at war.
He's at war. Oh, is the Christmas shopping done for you?
Yeah, I've been done for like 3 or 4 weeks now. So yeah, we're all set, wrapped. We're good. It's time. And we're at war. So I got to get the gifts out of the way so I can focus on what's important, which is ruining Eagles Christmas. So here we are.
Here we are, ladies and gentlemen.
Already got to ruin the Giants Thanksgiving.
Boom.
Let's double up on holidays.
Double up. And look, before we get to all the different analytics and everything we're going to talk about, be clear about the Cowboys. Have they lost back-to-back games yet?
No.
Oh, say less for the Eagles. Say less for the Eagles. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Can I run it back one more time? Is that okay?
Please.
Just one more time. It's Eagles week. Spoony. What'd you say, Spoony? We at what?
War.
War.
We at war.
We're at war.
Anyone with a green jersey, an Eagle jersey, I don't care who the quarterback is. I don't care if it's a backup, a practice squad. It's war. You tag them.
Yeah.
It's all about getting tagged. I think
I'm with it. That's all you got to do, in. Yeah, I mean, hit him. Legally hit him high and low. Legally. if you will. All
I
right.
just wish a certain former running back would play Saturday. I just wish he would have just come back for 1 year time and just play this game.
Spoony, you were in the space heavy. You was in the space heavy for sure.
Yeah.
About that. Yeah. We might lead off on that. But on the back end, hopefully everybody's got their Christmas shopping done, as we talked about between the two little hype sessions there. Hopefully y'all are ready to be in place. The Cowboys Christmas Eve, right? 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. Be locked and loaded, and we get it, and we see and test the might, if you will. Look, I'm gonna let Spoon go because Spoon's been held this in for a couple of hours now, and he felt very different here about Shady McCoy's comments, and the comment simply was open mic. Everything else on FS1 said that Dak is ass. Spoony, not the sermon, obviously, but by all means, I want to give you the space to speak on that because you were very passionate about it earlier.
Yeah, listen. We've been watching this game a long time. A lot of us have. And, I know a lot of players who, once they retire, they trade in their cleats for a suit and tie. They become, commentators, analyze X, Y, and Z. I've never seen any player that retired for the game that goes on national TV and criticize a player the way Dak has been criticized. And, and I always say this, 31 quarterbacks are protected every week because the focus is on Dak Prescott. I'm going to keep this very short because I know I have a sermon to do later. We at war. The blueprint, as Shady said, should be used. I'm not going to say right now what the Cowboys should do about it. That'll be later on tonight.
10-4?
Yeah, war.
10-4. Just simply, the eye test, we've talked about this before on the back channels, never on the open mic. And I think for me, as Spoony was passionate about it, I wanted to kind of bring it up here early, just because in the long-term time, when I did watch these shows before I pivoted away years ago, and for me, going back and doing NFL podcasting and content before I did just strictly Cowboys, like I never called a player ass, and on an open mic, and on the back end, I don't think I can recall anybody in the history of kind of covering sports or whatever like your ass. Maybe we got the Chris Everett versus Chris, certain little things, but they were just openly ass and they say eye test and. This guy has he has the easiest job in the NFL and not talk about everybody else. Just weird in general. I get it. They chopped it up. They sold it on Twitter and everything else. But just ass. Take Dak out of it. Because that's where I'm at. I don't really care that it was about Dak. It happened to be Dak and what we do. But just openly ass.
Yeah, we've seen elements of this, right? Like we've seen the Stephen A. Smith trolling, and not only on the show where ESPN does push notifications to everybody that has the app. Like clearly the mainstream media eats it up because they know that people are gonna take it a certain way, and when they do, they're gonna be offended, frustrated, angry, whatever, or think it's humorous if you're on the other side, and it's gonna go viral. So it's intentional. It's very much so an act for some of these people. For him, I don't think it's an act. I think that's just who he is and what he is as a person. So, yeah, it's super frustrating to hear somebody talk that way because you were an NFL player once. you had certain people in your local media, because we know how Howard Eskin is and some of the Philly media is, on games where you had a fumble or had a bad day or you got paid a contract and didn't live up to it for a certain stretch of time. Like, as a player, you get used to that criticism. But when you're a media analyst, you should be at a higher caliber and hold yourself to a higher standard, especially when you're on the mainstream media. Like, I understand well, I'm an Eagle and he's a Cowboy and, rivals and all that stuff. But there's a certain level of etiquette that you should have, and he doesn't have that. So, yeah, I've never heard, especially on a major sports network, any player be called ass, much less a good player be called that. Like, that was just absolutely a clown comment by him. So any credibility that he has, like, even I've even seen Eagles fans, I've seen fans of other teams like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you just took it way too far. And not only that, he wasn't even capable of continuing his thought. Dak in a 2-minute span was ass, and then not bad, and then above average, and then average, all in a 2-minute span. Like, you can't even be consistent with your takes because they're that bad. So it is what it is. Like, Shady's comments make no impact on what's going to happen with the game, but it very much so should impact his livelihood as an analyst, because somebody should pull him aside and be like, if you're going to continue to work here, you got to be smarter with the way that you talk about players, because Dak or any number of players are going to not take kindly to you. Like, even Eagles players are probably going to be like, well, shit, what does he say about me? He calls Dak ass on TV. What would he say about me on the back, in the back channels to my coaches or whatever? So it's just, I mean, it was low, it was ridiculous, and it was a bad take in the first place. So it's just one of those things too. If you watch the show, which I don't, because that's not my cup of tea. And I'm one of those people, if I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to go to it. I'm not a glutton for punishment. If it's not something that I feel like I can learn from or be edified in some way, I'm just not going to indulge it. I love Dave Hellman, and I love seeing the clips of it, because he's doing the Lord's work out there, being the lone man on that panel, speaking the common man's language, but being smart and intelligent about it. So shout out to Dave. Dave's great. But when you hear Shady talk to Dave, and Dave rattle out number after number after number and give context to the numbers, and then Shady's response or rebuttal is the eye test. And that's where you were kind of leading off. We talk about the eye test all the time, because that's something you hear fans on either side of the fence bring up all the time. Right. And the issue with the eye test is not necessarily, and I don't say this at all to insult anybody's intelligence watching or listening right now, it's that we have to be realistic and say it's not apples to apples, because everybody's level of football intelligence is not equal. Everybody's amount of film study is not equal. So you may see it and say, well, the cornerback was beaten, it's clearly on him. But then if you watch the film and understand the context, you could say, well, that was actually cover 2. The safety should have had that. And there's things like that get missed when you're talking about just the eye test. And when he says eye test, is he actually watching Dak Prescott film? Or is he watching ESPN highlights? Or is he watching random Twitter? Like, we don't know what he's actually watching to even establish the eye test. So when people say that, I usually dismiss it, and it's not because I don't think that they understand football. It's just I don't even know what level of film review he's watched to make that determination, because you can look at any level of numbers and say that that's clearly not correct. But what's funny about it is he does the same thing that Dave does when he's talking about Jalen Hurts. He's like, well, Hurts ranks number 1 at this, and PFF said this, and this person said that, and he's ranked in the top 3 in this. So numbers are important when it fits his agenda, but it's not important when it doesn't. And that's one thing that Nix and I talk about all the time with PFF in particular. You see fans all the time when it talks about Trayvon Diggs, PFF's trash, it's whack, it's terrible. But then when they talk about DeMarcus Lawrence being a top 4 run stopper, PFF said this. Like, you got to be consistent with it. And that's one thing I'll credit Nix this year. Nix made the decision last year. He doesn't appreciate or respect it, so he's just not going to encourage it. So that's my soliloquy about that.
And not what I didn't disagree with. I said I won't use it to prove my point. Check my timeline. Go all the way back. I haven't used PFF since. I don't care no more, because that happens a lot. Because what we do is we will cherry pick different places if it proves our narrative, and then rail against it if not. No, I'm gonna use Shady's non-eye test and do the work and get in there and figure it out for myself. I don't need nobody else to tell me. So one thing I'm most proud of this year in 2022, I said I wouldn't use PFF to prove my point or disprove somebody else's point. You can't find anything I've used with PFF. Period. But real quick, back channel, man, there were a lot of documentation, pictures, stuff. It's coming back. I know we had it. It's gone. I'm busy. Matt's busy. Yeah, this time of the year. But we'll get it back soon. Trust. Anything y'all spend here, as we always say, is simply this. It's not for our pockets. They ain't doing it for that. It's for our infrastructure. And once those come back and things are happening, it's going to go right back into this film that you're seeing now, this feed, everybody's infrastructure, and going that way. Go ahead, O.
I just want to give our guy Aaron a quick shout out. So first off, he's a friend of the show. He's always active in our chats. He joins us on Fridays. Great dude. We all love him. Chatted with him on Sunday morning, and he said he was going to the game. He was really excited to go because he lives in Florida, so all that. So I asked him, I think I asked him his prediction, or maybe he just gave me his prediction. But either way, he told me, I think the Cowboys lose this game in heartbreaking fashion. And I was like, really? Like that? I just didn't expect him to say that. And he was like, yeah, not only do I think that for reasons, but the last 3 games I've been to ended the exact same way. So then I was like, bro, if we lose today, you're banned. You cannot go to other games. And then he gave me like a list of like 5 great games that he went to prior. But he's on like a 4-game streak now. But I want to give him credit because when the Cowboys were up by 17, I was like, man, I can't wait to chat with Aaron. He was way off the mark. And then the game ended. I'm like, that dude was 100% correct. So shout out to you, Aaron.
Maga Cooley around the way for me, if you will. He's not really an Eagles fan. He claims to be an Eagles fan, but what he really is I live in East Texas. So what can I do to piss off Cowboys fans the most every day of the week? And then you won't see me. But here he is. That is y'all ready problem. Typing's hard for Eagles fans, apparently. Very hard. I'm gonna read that again. What he typed. Deck is y'all ready problem. Cool.
I think he meant real.
No, I don't care. It's
Right.
an Eagles fan.
Either
Who cares? That's what he types. So, but hey, I'm just a 13-1 guy just speaking. Okay. Cool story, bro. My guy Richard chiming in says Dak wasn't the reason we lost the game. What do I say down here? Let me get through here. Let me go through. Oh, is there anything that I missed? I need to.
I mean, my whole thing is you don't play for the team, so you're not a 13-1 guy. You're a fan of a 13-1 team.
Oh,
2.
you can't say us.
He can say us, sure.
Okay.
Whatever. I don't care. Whatever.
Fair.
We'll give it to him. So you're a 13-1 guy. That's great. If you're 13-2 next week, will you be back? That's my question.
Oh.
Are you that guy that will come in the chat and just be like, oh, we're 13-1, blah, 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 blah. Or next week, will you be the guy saying, well, yeah, because Gardner Minshew played, because we didn't have Jalen Hurts. Like, are you that guy? Because if you are that guy, probably just not,
Have you seen him all
the
year?
algorithm and all that, but there's not really a point in you having a conversation with us. But if you're a guy that will come back either way, if your Christmas is bad or not, then I would love you to be back next week.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Have we seen him all year?
No, never.
Oh, okay. Spoony, we saw him. We might have saw him last year at certain points. I don't think we've seen him this year though.
Listen, man, I don't give a shit what Eagles fan comes in, no disrespect. This is Eagles and Cowboys week. I'm ready to get lit. I'm ready to rock and roll. They can stay in the chat. And I said it respectfully. That's my Brooklyn kind of say. That's how I talk. I could be in the chat and you can rock with us all day long. If you're curious about what we got to say, don't take it personal. And that's all love from us to you guys. But let's get this shit rolling. I'm ready.
Hey, look. Here's why we came out, how we came out with it, with the music and everything else and whatnot. Look, no matter what, be clear. Cowboys have to win out. Eagles have to lose out for us to just get the division. I don't even care. Look, we're going to go into the how you get the number 1 seed. This team got to lose this. No. Cowboys win out 3 straight, right? Am I crazy? Right? 3, right? 3.
Yeah.
And the Eagles lose out. Cowboys win the division. So it's still on the table. It matters. It's okay. Look, ultimately, maybe we are just going to go play the Tampa Bay Bucks on the road. Maybe so. But until it's casket closed, Spoonie, we here riding. Opportunities here.
It's back. It's here. You know, listen, I want to start off by saying, you know, on behalf of Cowboy Nation, we understand the QB situation with Jalen Hurts. We all love Jalen Hurts. Good human being. If we follow college football, Alabama, great guy. Great inspiration to a lot of folks who've been down. But this is not about Jalen Hurts. Understand it. This is about the Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. It don't matter who's the quarterback. It doesn't matter what color jersey you're wearing. You come onto our field on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central Time. That's when the ass whooping must be given. It's already been 12 damn weeks. Excuse me, 14 weeks. I've been waiting for this. 14 weeks. Understand this. When we need that shot, we start the heat from left to right, up and down. Let's move on.
Okay. Let's move on. So
let's move on. Let's do it.
Let's move on. So Cowboys ultimately 27-10. Whoop. I don't want to regurgitate all of what happened there because we will be here for another 2 hours. I want to highlight this. And after 2 touchdowns given up, and we had extensively talked, the 59-yard Zay Jones touchdown was not just on Kelvin, right? Was not just on Kelvin because Malik Hooker, for whatever reason, bit as well. But ultimately, they benched him. With a guy that's cornerback, maybe struggling. Is that an issue here, benching him, in your opinion?
No, I think it was the right move. I mean,
for the game, but moving forward, I guess for Kelvin, I'm asking.
Yeah, I think it was the right move in both because I mean we've really seen him in action against the Green Bay Packers, and he gave up a touchdown. Mm-hmm. We've seen him give up a touchdown in every game that he's played so far this year. So he has 6 penalties. Like, granted, a lot of those were in special teams, but he hasn't had a good game yet. It's frustrating too because a lot of us were, hoping when he was drafted. A lot of us didn't actually love the pick, but you love some of the traits, and you're like, maybe there's something there to be worked with, and he just didn't walk through the door year 1. And you could say, well, Anthony Brown had a good year. It is what it is, but maybe year 2 we see more of him, and in training camp you hear, well, he's a dynamic special teams guy, and you're like, that's not what you want from a top 50 pick, but here we are. So we're gonna live with it. So when Anthony Brown got hurt, and he had his opportunity to step up, unfortunately, he just hasn't seized the opportunity. So when you have a team that's churning the roster consistently recently in a lot of different positions and bringing in receivers and bringing in linemen and doing defensive linemen and doing things like that, you should be consistent. Keep doing what you're doing. So if you're going to churn the roster in other spots, maybe it's time to give Wright or Alexander or Mullins or one of these other guys, or Izzy, or one of these other guys an opportunity. So yeah, I think he absolutely should have lost his spot, and if he earns it back, great, credit to him. But right now, there's no way in hell you should roll him out against Philadelphia Eagles as your cornerback too. He should have to scrape and claw and do whatever he needs to do to get that opportunity again. And if he seizes it then, excellent. But right now, no, he should absolutely be benched right now.
Spoonie, benched, coming back, I would suppose. Benching him hurt or just a part of the process?
That's a good one. As I said at the space, Kelvin Joseph is much better when he's on press than when he's on back off, and that's the thing where he falls at. He played pretty solid throughout the whole game until he bit. He's playing off of Zay Jones. He bit with the double move. that's when the momentum just swung to the Jacksonville. So, if Dan Quinn is going to want Kelvin Joseph to win, because we heard Stephen Jones say a couple of days ago that Kelvin is a talented corner, very talented. We all know that, but it just we haven't seen it yet consistently. My thing is, Dan Quinn, you're going to have to do what's comfortable for him. If not, I'm going with Nashawn Wright, or I like what Professor, he started the train, Easy McQuamu. Try him at corner, and Professor, that's your light right there. With
To be fair, I appreciate that, Spoonie, but I think a lot of people were on the same idea there. So there's a lot of people that were
okay. Well, I heard you said it first to us, and then my thing is this:
there's things that but neither here nor there. Kelvin Joseph getting benched, not ideal.
Look, I do want to say too, in Kelvin's defense, my bad, Knicks, but I think that was a terrible time for him to be aggressive. When you're a cornerback who doesn't really have a firm, solidified starting opportunity, and you get your chance, probably typically I'm be as aggressive as possible. But when you're up in a game, that's not the time to jump a route. It's just not. Like you should not fall for that. You should be playing, if you're Diggs and you have some credentials. Yeah, absolutely. Jump and do what you do. But if you're the opposite guy and you've been targeted already, there's no reason at all he should have jumped that route. He should have just been there in coverage and say, let me keep it in front of me, because the last thing I can afford to do is get beaten deep again. Like, you got to know that as a player. That's a football IQ thing. Like, I can't afford to give up another touchdown. So,
to be fair, I'll do the flip side. Do you think there was something on film and they coached them to jump that, and that's why he did it? Or it's on him?
I don't think so, honestly, but especially because Zay Jones has some wheels. So that's
Sure.
a guy even if you just slightly jump it, if you're aggressive, he's going to torch you, obviously, as we saw. But if you're even slightly aggressive, he has enough speed. He's faster than Kelvin Joseph. So you probably should have just played that one smart. So I just think it was really, really poor timing on his part to try to be aggressive there. And again, this is from somebody who's be aggressive, go for it all the time and blitz and all that. But you got to be situational awareness, right? You got to say, this is not the time for a fake punt. This is not the time for a flea flicker. Like, you should know that as a player. And I think for whatever reason, he ate the cheese, and that's what happens sometimes.
But I'll buy that. My issue is coach. Take the coaching out of it. But as a player, though, and you're playing, and you say, hey, I can be aggressive here because the guy's behind me. And on that particular play, the first touchdown to Zay Jones, 59 yards. It wasn't just him that bit and did whatever. Malik Hooker did the same. So, look, I'm not trying to be a KJ apologist here. I'm not. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying, I just want to make sure contextually we deliver to everybody the different things that could have happened on the one particular play. What I do buy into is the second one and what happened there. To me, that tells me that wasn't coaching or anything else. You're not doing the right things. And then the coaches pulled him because of the second touchdown. First, whatever, safety, yeah. But something happened on that second touchdown that they wasn't a part of, or I want to say a part of. They're like, okay, we have an issue, and they moved around. Fast forward to the Eagles game. Who's the guy? Who do you think lines up at DB2? Oh, do you think it's going to be, will it be Kelvin, or is it going to be somebody else this week?
I think it's going to be somebody else. There's a couple of rotations that they could go with. I do think Kelvin plays. I don't know what amount he plays, but I do think that they don't completely give up on him because the staff has been more patient with players than fans have. Right? Like last year when Connor Williams was playing objectively pretty well, but getting a lot of penalties, fans were begging for him to be benched. We saw that when Terrence Steele moved to left tackle. Fans were like, what are you doing? And the staff is kind of giving guys longer leashes than what we may expect. But to answer your question, I think it's some combination the first series of the game of obviously Diggs, and it'll either be Bland outside and Mackenzie Alexander inside, or vice versa. I have a feeling they're going to go with Bland as the outside guy, which I don't really love because I think he's played really well inside, but Mackenzie Alexander isn't a slot guy, and he has a lot of experience doing it. So that's my best guess is it won't be Nashawn Wright, and it also won't be Kelvin. I think it'll be Diggs, Alexander in the slot, and Bland outside because they trust Bland.
All right, Spoony, is it going to be KJ out the gate, or what you think here after the benching and what's happened throughout the week?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love Professor's idea. That's the route I would choose to go to. If, try Bland out there and Mackenzie Alexander, but I have a feeling it's going to be Kelvin Joseph getting the first crack again. They spoke very highly about his talent, what he can be if he rises to the occasion. But I think it will be a short leash. It won't be long.
Yeah, I'm good with Bland on the inside, and proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
For some play Washington, Christian Kirk 3 times, pass break up, 2 punts, and then an interception. We haven't felt. Stop me if I'm wrong. Have y'all felt the loss of Jordan Lewis since Bland stepped in?
No.
Have we felt the loss of Anthony Brown since he left?
Right.
Of course.
Okay, so I don't want to take a guy with a maybe because I don't have an issue inside. I don't want to do that, which goes back to the, as O said, the conundrum, because the kid from Clemson is definitely a slot. You have to get Bland up out of there. That would be the issue. So for me, I want to see more. Look, and obviously overall, we are all on the Izzy train, right? I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
Izzy. If that doesn't happen, I'm not moving Bland. The second round kid, man, the other Trayvon, I'm giving him Burns. I don't know what's going to happen. At least you have 3 games before the playoffs. Playoffs are locked. But when it comes to Kelvin Joseph, I do believe he'll be CB1, snap 1. So I think he starts. And then we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting decision because if you work in the Cowboys organization, so take your fandom out of the equation or what you feel about a certain player and all that, you're looking at cornerback 2. My choices are Izzy Mukuamu, who the fans like, but we haven't seen him as an outside cornerback in the NFL yet. We've seen him in preseason take some slot corner snaps and things like that, but we haven't seen him outside. Bland, who we really like in the slot. So do you move him? And now you have a kind of a question mark at slot because you have Mackenzie Alexander, who has played with George Edwards in the past with the Vikings, but it would be his first NFL action of this year with our team. So that would be a little bit of a challenge too. Or do you start Mullins, who was just recently released, but has the draft pedigree, but has only been in your locker room for a short span of time. So no matter what they do, they're going to have a question mark unless they go with Kelvin Joseph, which makes a lot of sense on why they would roll him out to begin with. But also at the same time, you just benched him.
Yeah.
His teammates saw that. His teammates have made comments about it since then, not necessarily directly at him, but making comments about this isn't for little boys. It's a grown men league and you have to seize the opportunity. We don't have time for that. And it's pretty clear who they're talking about. We heard Jerry Jones' comments. So like, how does it look from an optic standpoint or from a locker room morale standpoint for you to roll him out in arguably the biggest game of the year because the division is still on the table?
Yeah.
But he also is the only guy you have some level of familiarity with because he's been here for 2 years and he understands the lingo and he's practiced with these guys and taken some real game action too. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do. I won't be shocked in the least bit if you're right.
Yeah.
But I also think when Dan Quinn made the comment of, yes, this position's very much so open and named a bunch of guys and didn't even name Kelvin until the very end. He was like, oh, I forgot about him. And Kelvin, of course, he's, we like him too. I don't know. I really don't know how they feel about him. I just know if I were a player on the Cowboys roster, I would want to see somebody else out there and then see Kelvin earn his way back there. And if he does, again, I think I'd be cool with it as a player. But from a morale standpoint, I would want my best bet to win. And I don't feel like Kelvin is that guy right now, which is a shame. So hopefully if he gets another opportunity and maybe he gets it starting this week, he can regain some of that trust.
Spoonie, here's where I'm at. And let me see. I said earlier, I want Bland inside.
Right.
And deliver a great, diatribe there when it comes to Kelvin and the players on the team and what's happening.
Right.
So is it for you? I'm gonna give you 2 questions for you and for the organization. All right, who's it going to be? Right. So for you, would it be Wright, Mullins, Sheffield, or Izzy? Who's your guy? KJ as well. That's his 5.
I would love to see what Izzy could do. I mean, we all spoke highly of him. He played, like you said, in the speed opposite Horn. In the SEC. You really want to see him. But then again, Mullins is experience. You don't want to take nobody out their spot. You don't want to experiment as well. That's something more of seeing it during the off season where you're not playing nobody. You're just seeing what a guy's ability playing the outside. So if it's me, I would go with Mullins. I would go with Mullins. The guys who want him. He's experienced, and I would try him out.
Fair. And of course, you already said with me earlier, we both agreed, I should say, on Kelvin Joseph snap 1. So there's that. With those options available, look, for you, I'm going to take Izzy out. I'm going to take Izzy out for this exercise. Who's the guy?
So I kind of alluded to it, but Mullins is a guy that I totally understand why people are excited. He was a 2nd-round pick. He played at Clemson, all that stuff. But he hasn't been here very long. If I was betting from a locker room standpoint or on a win probability standpoint, I would bet on Bland sliding outside and McKenzie inside.
I took that away from you.
You took Izzy off. You didn't take Bland off.
No, I meant Bland staying inside.
Okay, so if I
Bland can come out here.
All right,
I'm taking Izzy and Bland away. I'm sorry if it wasn't clear.
Cool. All right. So if I'm now left with the guys that I have,
yes,
and it was up to me, I would take a shot on Mullins on the outside.
Okay, all right, fair. Jayville, hey man. Oh, the 4 stats you gave me. The Cowboys against Jacksonville won how many penalties, right?
Yeah. So the Cowboys had 2 penalties.
Yeah.
Jacksonville had 4. So we had half as many penalties as Jacksonville. We won time of possession by almost 7 minutes. It's like 6 minutes and 28 seconds. So we won time of possession. We won the penalty battle. We won the turnover margin. And we scored 34 points on the road and still lost. And we ran the ball 41 times because there's stats about if the Cowboys run X amount of times. So we checked every box. Literally, mathematically, it should have been like a 0.1% chance we lost, and we did.
Spoonie, I mean, if we go through the annals of history of the NFL, I'm willing to bet what O just dropped, 90+% teams win those games, right?
Yeah. Just the turnover margin. You have a 78% chance just checking that one box. And then you have 3 other factors to add in. It's crazy.
This reminds me of the game we had against Green Bay when Des Bryant walked off the field back then. You had the game won. We won it, but they went too conservative, and it bit us right in the ass. And we lost. I remember Des walked out to the tunnel.
503 goals. 503.
The Romo Saints game, right? Remember? First quarterback in NFL history. With like 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and whatever 300 yards or whatever it was. Like first time ever in all of history that happened versus the Cowboys.
Crazy. And look, and going back to the Packers game. Cowboys were 150 some odd whatever and 14 into the 4th quarter. No, say less. Take the L. God bless. Yeah. We're losing this year for sure. It seems like that overall. Yeah, it's just kind of crazy. The games that we lose and what happens.
Yeah, we ain't finishing.
Oh,
we're not finishing. You gotta when you have this opportunity, you have to learn how to finish, and that's one of the things we talked about with Kellen Moore. 1st and 10, Jackson with 3 timeouts, and it just wasn't. And you gotta be a little bit more aggressive. You see your team on defense struggling, so you know your offense has to score more points. You're gonna have to be a little more aggressive. Being conservative, it hurts. And this is the thing where, you know, with Mike McCarthy, how much power do you have to talk to Kellen Moore and go, hey, listen, we gotta go do this. We gotta finish this, you know. And I don't know how the communication is before a call is being made. Does Mike agree with it or not, or whatnot? But something's got to change. You know, we got 3 games left in the season. We are blessed to be locked in the playoffs. But if we trying to not have guys play in the Pro Bowl and play for something else bigger, you got to fix your stuff. You got to come out right, and it starts this week. This is the playoff game. I don't care who's not playing. This is like a playoff type game. We're gonna be playing it. You got to come out.
Okay. All right. Well, Pia, I'm out. Definitely not put. Sounds like I might tag real quick at the airport, chiming in. Follow him. The greatest promos ever to get you ready for those games Sunday. Sam,
It's open.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sam dropped the PFF. I'm not gonna. No, no. Not going to happen there on the PFF at all. So as we're looking at what happened with the Cowboys defense last week, Texans, or 2 weeks ago, if you want to do that, and then last week it's Jacksonville. Are we finally seeing we've lost too many people and it's not working anymore? Is that where we are right now?
To an extent, yes. I mean, you can't dismiss it, right? Like you can say next man up, and you can do that to a fair amount in the depth chart. But at some point, kind of run out of guys that you feel comfortable as the next man up. And unfortunately, we've had that in a couple positions. But where I'm frustrated is, yes, you absolutely missed LVE. I know that fans don't want to hear that because there's still a lot of people that are like, well, LVE over this span. I don't care. LVE this year has been pretty good. And you missed him. Absolutely missed him this week. But a lot of the same things that Jacksonville did against us, we've seen with LVE. A lot of the same things that they did against us, we've seen with Anthony Brown. And we saw it with Jordan Lewis. The Cowboys still can't stop their perimeter run. We still have issues with misdirection. And we still have a liability on cornerback 2. And more importantly, I shouldn't say more importantly, but equally importantly, we still have not had good safety play this year on the back end to help out cornerback 2.
Right.
And that's frustrating because I like our safety room. Emily Cooker has had good moments, but there's been a lot of opportunities all year long on the opposite side, especially on deep passes, and we haven't consistently or very rarely have made a play with the safety coming out to help out with that. So that's frustrating. And that's kind of where I'm like, I don't know if it's a DQ doesn't have the guys or DQ doesn't have the answers or a mixture of that. But for whatever reason, the same narratives keep popping up, sometimes in wins and more often in losses, where it's like, I can't blame it all on Def. I can't,
right,
because I've seen it when we're healthy and it still didn't work. We still didn't have the answers. So if we don't have it now, what is this, week 16? We don't have it now. When are you going to have that answer? I don't know. So it's frustrating, and I can't blame it all on Def.
Okay, pause. Cowboys, influx, as we were talking. DQ has to pivot, right? It's a pivot. For me, going back to the preseason, and I think Spoon, we all kind of talked about this and agreed on this anyways. 60-40 Micah. 60 linebacker, 40. Look, and maybe more importantly going forward, maybe we need 65-35 linebacker edge. But neither here nor there. We all talked and like, hey, this is where he's the best at. And now we're seeing some, not slow down, I mean, sack, recover fumble, pressures, whatever. But at linebacker with LVE out, and a bar, okay, we're kind of where we are. it gives us a second level eraser, right?
Mhm.
So is that really what DQ, and with all the injuries and what we're talking about, can you take that one guy 60-40 and change this defense down the lane and get a little bit more physical, if you will, Spoonie?
I would, in my opinion. I think he's the best player on this defense, in my opinion. No shot at Diggs. Diggs is great too, but Micah can definitely change up the game. And the thing is, I think he's getting wear down playing DE. I just think I love what Space said earlier at the Space early tonight. Basically, do what Micah was doing last year. He was playing it for situational stuff. Not all the time. It was a thing where they moved him all over the place, and I think that's the one main thing. But I understand as a player, and he's enjoying this game, and he put up his sack predictions for the year and everything that's on his mind. I just think somebody got to talk to him and settle him down. But listen, we need you to help this team in other areas. I understand you want that sack record and X, Y, and Z, but that trophy is way more important. It's bigger. It's bigger. Right. And the thing is, playing you like that is going to help us out. And this got to be more of not a me thing, but what's best for the team moving forward. Because you can see on the sideline something when Micah gets upset. I don't know what he's upset about, but you can guess when he's taking out of games, he doesn't like it. I want to play another snap or X, Y, and Z. So it's a lot of that. What I want to do, it's got to turn into what's best for this team moving forward. So.
Oh, DQ moving Parsons back. What do you think?
So, shout out to Nix. Nix has been on this for weeks now. This is not reactive on Nick's part based on the LVE injury.
Before
he's been
week
on this,
one. Yeah.
He's been on this for a while. But yeah, I think you absolutely should make that move. And I think there's levels to this conversation, and I'll try to be as quick as possible with it. But one, obviously, when you are a 245-ish pound guy going against 320-pound tackles and tight ends and running backs chipping you throughout the course of the game, you're going to wear down. So we're seeing him take less snaps per game than we saw last year. That's important. He's the best player in your defense. Like Spoonie said, he's playing less than he did last year on a per game basis. So that's a concern. Number two, it also lets the offense know where he's going to line up, and it makes it easier to account for. So when he's playing linebacker and he's blitzing in the A gap and he's blitzing off tackle and he's blitzing and doing stunts and things like that, you have an idea that he might be rushing, but you don't know exactly where it's coming from, so it makes it more difficult. When you're on the offensive line and he's lined up on edge, he's rushing either outside or he's stunting inside. So there's only one of two things he's going to do, and it makes it a little bit easier to account for. And then third, which I think is an angle people don't think about, is in baseball, pitchers that have a lot of velocity, really strong arms for those that don't watch baseball, or have a lot of movement on their balls,
right,
the first go-around against the order are much better than the second go-around because batters have seen it and they have an opportunity to time it so they can catch up to it. So typically the second or the third time, especially through the lineup, the pitchers do progressively worse each time they face batters because the batters can time it better. When you're going against a guy like Dante Fowler, Sam Williams, Dorrance Armstrong, and then Micah Parsons, there's a huge difference in quickness. So it makes it really hard to account for that. But if you see it series after series after series, eventually you'll catch up for it and say, I know what my kick step needs to be. I have a pretty good idea of where I need to drop back into my pass blocking set to account for it. But if you're facing these other guys and you see Micah here, and then sometimes he's on the inside, and then sometimes he's back, and then sometimes he's dropping, it makes it a lot harder for you to account for it because you've only seen it 8 snaps. And then suddenly it's 4 or 5 snaps in a row, and you have a really hard time judging that. So I think that's important that people forget. Last year when we saw that from Micah, we saw it because of injuries. We had to do it. We had Randy Gregory out. We had DeMarcus Lawrence out. We really don't have to do that right now. We have a lot of pass rushers who are pretty good given the opportunity. And I think that when you bring Micah from different spots and use him as that ultimate chess piece that Nick likes to say, it makes our defense a lot tougher for offenses to account for because You don't know if he's dropping back in coverage or blitzing, or if he's covering the flat, or if he has man coverage
doubling.
or whatever. And you have to account for all of the variables instead of just saying he's coming from the edge or he's stunning inside. That's it. That's all I have to worry about. So I think from a lot of different angles, and again, not even really talking about LVE's injury, it makes sense for him to play more linebacker, especially as we get to the playoffs. If you want to rush him more edge in the playoffs, okay, cool. But this last 3-game stretch should give him more time to, I hate to say rest, but less physicality coming from the linebacker spot versus the edge right when you're getting to the playoffs. And then if you want to do it more, then it makes sense, cool. But that's kind of where I'm coming from, really those 3 points.
Say less. Preseason, training camp, and throughout, I've been, 60-40 is what I wanted. It hasn't been that way. We might need 65-35 till LVE comes back, but that's neither here nor there. Give me 60-40 is where I'll be at. But with all of these things happening, Jacksonville, here we are. Is it going to be Jalen Hurts? Is it going to be Minshew? Whatever the case may be. Here we are, and maybe we played 3 times, and only the starters play the game that matters the most head-to-head. But here we are, Eagles week. Dan Quinn do this. Kellen Moore, heckle, be better. Broken record. Cowboys, 3 p.m. Central. At home. Spoonie. Where are we at here? Well, no. Man, I should wait. Oh, wait. I know we're at war. Go ahead, Spoon. Go ahead, Spoon. I don't care. Go ahead, Spoon.
Are we talking about the score?
No, we're just talking about. Hey, look, we corrected the defense. Who's going to play, who's not going to play, right? And now here we are. Eagles are arriving.
Oh, well, I'm gonna start my summer early then.
Oh,
hey, let me get a little comfortable here.
Hey, Spoon said.
And
hold on, Spoon. Let me get you. You told me, I'm behind the 8 ball. We gotta change the music. We gotta do everything. Hold on, Spoon. Make sure we get you there. Wow. Where's the? Is it?
You want me to do it? All right, 1 second.
All means.
Yeah, I just want to start off by saying to any Eagles fan in this chat watching our show right now, don't take it personal. Understand? Don't take it personal. All love. Okay, Nation. Anytime former player disrespects a current player, the way how that was today is beyond disrespect. Beyond, it's personal. Everything Dak Prescott does right, we got the people in the background trying to find something to put them under the bus. 41 other teams are protected because of Dak Prescott.
Oh.
So, what this means to me, that's constantly being disrespected. He was caught ass today. That's beyond. That's equivalent in my book, where I come from, for Hard Knocks. Where I come from, that's like spitting in somebody's face. And everybody knows that's beyond. So, because you want to trade in your cleats or a suit and tie and talk about Dak Prescott, knowingly we are playing your former team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Cowboy Nation. It doesn't matter if you beat the Eagles. You know why? Because we beat Minnesota 40-3. We didn't get our respect. We beat the Eagles this week, we don't get our respect. We lose, we don't get no respect. So therefore, not only will you win this game, you gotta put these sons of bitches down.
Oh!
You gotta take your hand, reach down their fucking throats, and take their fucking soul. Understand this. This is bigger than the Cowboys versus Eagles. We at war. This is part of the battle. And even the battle this week, win or lose, we're gonna see their asses in the playoffs. So what I'm saying is this. You need to take their spirit, fuck up their Christmas. You need them to wrap themselves up on the wall and say, yo, we thought we had this shit. We thought we had number 1 seed. We thought we had division. Nuh-uh. We're not done. You see, what the Eagles are experiencing right now is what the fuck we experienced weeks ago. But you see, we stood tall. We stood strong. We crawled. We worked together. We won some games as best we can. We lost some. But see, at the same time, Cowboy Nation, it's not the Dallas Cowboys just versus the Philadelphia Eagles. It is Cowboys Nation, us against everybody. So, what I said 2 weeks ago about the train ride, I was talking about each stop we make. But you see, at the same time, this is the time when Cowboy Nation understand what the fuck we watching. Understand what are we watching. We're watching networks. No matter what we do right, we will always be criticized in a negative way and spill that poison into everybody's mind. That's what's going on right now. Kill that fucking noise. Kill that noise. You have to do the Omega. You have to do the impossible. You have to go out there and win. And I want to say this. Respect to the 7 Pro Bowlers of the Dallas Cowboys. The 7 players who made the Pro Bowl. Understand this. Don't get too cute. Don't make that trip. Because guess what? We got bigger plans. It's another vacation we want to go to, and that's Arizona. Understand this. Arizona is where we want to go, and that is the Super Bowl. You can't beat the Philadelphia Eagles. You got to put them down. And I mean so fucking down, they don't know what's coming forward.
Hit them high, hit them low. We started out with that. Man, I don't know, boy. But sheesh. Here we
Take
are.
their souls. Put your hands down their throat and take their souls. You can be called Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat? I don't care. Take their fucking souls. Let them go back to Philly. Let them talk that shit. Let them eat that shit, which they do occasionally, because they always repeat the same bullshit all over. Let's do our thing and take care of business. We got a second time around this thing.
Man, sun's getting low, fella. Let's go, though. There was a lot more that I wanted to kind of get into.
Let's get this game, man. Can't wait, man. Can't wait.
A lot, you know. Spoonie, I had to take. After what just happened, though, I can't even. I'm gonna tuck it. I'm good. I can't even do it. After that sermon. I can't do it. No ifs, ands, or buts. I can't give you the take that I had. If not, if I did, oh my God, really bad. On the back heels of this and going in, Gardner Minshew, Jalen Hurts. Which, look, there's 2 guys left. It's Hurts and it's that guy out there in Kansas City. Clear cut the MVPs, but neither here nor there. Hurts, Minshew, for me, and here's the question to go around. It matters for the Cowboys. I don't care who's playing. I think for the mindset and what we're doing, I think it matters a lot personally. Maybe I'm crazy in that thought process. Oh, no matter who's at quarterback, is this a big game for the Cowboys? Look, ultimately, maybe not positioning, whatever the case, just mentally is what I'm asking. Is this a bigger game for the Cowboys than the Eagles?
Absolutely for the Cowboys, 100%. Because the Eagles could afford to lose this, knowing we have the Saints next. The Cowboys have the Titans, who are fighting to win their division or a playoff spot if they don't win their division. And we have the Commanders, who are also fighting to get a playoff spot. So we have a ridiculously harder schedule than the Eagles for the rest of the season. So for a lot of reasons, I think it's definitely the pressure is on the Cowboys more so than the Eagles, because the Cowboys beat the Vikings. We kind of did them a favor in terms of winning the 1 seed. So yeah, it's more so on the Cowboys than the Eagles, for sure.
Spoony, what you think?
Which game is bigger for?
Yeah, Cowboys or Eagles? No matter who's playing for the Eagles at quarterback.
No, this game is bigger for the Cowboys because of what happened last week and the questions that they've been getting from the Texas game and last week's game. So this is a big game, and on top of that, we don't want nobody celebrating their division on our turf. So this game is definitely bigger for the Cowboys. But at the same time, when it comes to the Eagles, this is where you get down to business, as I said earlier, reach down their throats and take their souls. Because the way this is lining up for both teams, I'm hoping Hurts for a speedy recovery. There's nothing personal. Just real talk. If the Eagles, they're playing the Saints, who are still trying to get into the playoffs, and the New York Giants. The Cowboys are playing the Titans, who don't have Ryan Tannehill, who's out for the year.
Right,
maybe. As of right now, maybe. And it is a short week from Saturday to Thursday. And on top of that, we have the Washington Commanders, the last game of the season. So how things could play out, I'm not saying number 1 seed is up for the grab. That's a long way to go because we need Minnesota and 49 to drop some games. But the vision is still up there if we take care of business Saturday. Because the Eagles got 2 home games, and there'll be pressure if Jalen Hurts is not playing with them and it's Gardner Minshew. They're gonna have to win those 2 games to win the division. So this situation is opening up for the Cowboys if they take care of business.
Yeah, I think from a mindset, psychological,
right,
it matters. I think it definitely matters. I think it matters more so with Minshew there than Hurts. Not to discredit Hurts and what he is, but I think from the mental standpoint here with the Cowboys and where we at and things are happening, if it's Minshew, you better win the game.
Right.
From a mental standpoint, in my opinion, I think it matters more. If Jalen Hurts gets here, he's playing, he beats you. All right, it's cool. We'll see you again. We'll get another shot, blah, blah, blah. But boy, if this team beats you with Minshew, I think psychologically it's a bad omen for the Cowboys. That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, by all means, go win the game, divisional game. Hurts, whoever's lining up, you go do that and extend ourselves at least another week to we have an opportunity to win the division still. Number 1 seed, too much. Just the division. Eagles lose the rest. We win the rest. Cowboys win the division. Let's just worry about that. But on the end of it, if it's the backup quarterback, look, we lost to them on the road, backup. If they come here on the road with their backup, this late in the season, guys, it worries me. Maybe I'm too worried, though. Oh, maybe I'm too worried.
I don't think you are. I don't, because if you look at it from a momentum standpoint, the last half of the season, the Cowboys, in theory, could say, hey, we played the Vikings, check. We played the Giants, another playoff team, as of right now, check. We beat the Eagles. Now they beat us with Cooper Rush, so we beat them with their backup, check. We play the Titans the week after that. It looks like Malik Willis is a starting quarterback. You're playing a rookie, and that would be his 3rd career start at that point. But right now, they're a playoff team. Check. You would go into the playoffs regardless of what happens the rest of the the way with the Titans and Commanders, with some check marks against good teams that you can kind of, I don't want to say sit back and rely on, but feel a little bit more confident about. If they beat you when you had your backup, but you can't beat them when they have their backup,
Right.
and you're at home, it's not like a death sentence, but it's definitely discouraging. And I think the players will realize that. Obviously, they'll have 2 more chances to get it right, but that would definitely be a blow to maybe not morale, but confidence for sure.
Right. Spoonie, you led off and said we are what? We are
war.
Spoonie, I'm 10 toes down here. I am. Because I think Minshew's playing, and I think it matters for the Cowboys to win more because of Minshew than anything else, mentally. We're at war right now, Spoon.
Listen, as I always say before, don't get me wrong. You know, I really do think we're going to see them in the playoff again a third time. And that may be the time we finally to see Dak versus Jalen Hurts. I don't think anybody says I think this team could go all the way if they play the game right. And especially with the coaching staff, if they call it right, the way they should call it, we could go all the way. The window is right now. And I know this team, even last week against Jacksonville, that's one of the worst comebacks given up in Cowboys history. So I already know coming into this game, but it's again, hearing what the former running back for Philadelphia Eagles said, I'm not going to say his name, it's not worth saying his name. I think that just put more blueprint into this whole team. Let's back up our leader. This is the same guy who basically put on the line for us. Yeah, that bulletin, that's a blueprint right there.
Okay.
That's bulletin news right there. You could play it back and forth, and the way it was said with the smirk, with that look of their face, that's something that would make anybody stand up. Let's dance. Let's throw these hands.
All right. Well,
that's what this team needs to do this week.
Fair. Friday, we might do a little bit more in depth. It's Eagles week, Christmas Eve. We're having a good time here. Oh, who wins this? Who wins the game, and what's the score?
Well, real quick, I'm going to give some context on where we're coming from.
Sure.
Just drop this real quick.
Go ahead.
So for those that haven't had a chance to keep up with the injury situation for both teams, so that you guys can make your score predictions a little bit more rational instead of just our Cowboys-Eagles biases. Cowboys have a lot of guys limited. Obviously, you have LV at the bottom, DNP, but it's encouraging that Jake Ferguson looks like he's trending upwards and probably will play. And then on the Eagles front, this is what I hate to say, this is what they think of the Cowboys, but this is a team you're playing on short rest. Look how many guys they have limited. That's a lot. That's a lot of guys that were just resting. Not necessarily all for injuries, just straight up resting. Load management, right? You have your starting right guard, your starting center, your starting tackle. You have your other starting right guard. You have
number one wide receiver.
Yeah, the number one cornerback, one of your pass rushers. Like they rested a lot of players this week so far. And then obviously the most important one on that list is at the top, Jalen Hurts. DNP yesterday and today. This is a game we're playing on Saturday. It's not a Sunday game. He's been to DNP 2 practices already. If he's out tomorrow or limited tomorrow, there's a very small chance, if at all, he'll play. But if he's DNP 3 days in a row, he's done. He's not playing. There's no way you do it on short rest. So my score prediction, you're not going to like it, but I have to be honest. I have to keep true to what I feel in the way I look at the team. I think right now, from a defensive standpoint, for the first time all season, I don't have confidence in the defensive lineup right now. The way that it's being used, we have a huge question mark on the opposite side. We don't know if it's Kelvin or who it's going to be. So until I see it, I think the Eagles are going to beat us on Christmas Eve, if I'm being honest. I think it will be a relatively close game. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, Hurts being out, he's an MVP. Yeah, of course, that does matter. But we also played the Texans, who had Driscoll and Davis Mills that should not have been an issue whatsoever, and they were an issue for us. Sometimes when you don't know who you're going to game plan against. And obviously the Cowboys are probably bracing for Minshew. But you haven't seen him yet. So it kind of adds a little layer of mystery. So I'm going to pick the Eagles this week. Not even reverse psychology, although obviously I hope we ruin their Christmas Eve. But I think the Cowboys are going to drop their second game for the first time all year, back-to-back weeks. I think it will be close. I'm going to say 28-24.
Spoonie.
35-14 Dallas.
Love it, Spoonie.
Okay. Nothing else?
35-14. I believe this team is going to really rally around each other and really take. I mean, I'm serious. This is going to be. I'm not even surprised. I won't be surprised if this is anything similar to the Minnesota game. Even with the situation with on defense, I wouldn't be surprised. I think this team has heard enough of the negativity from the networks, from a player, from a lot of biased fans. I think they're going to use it all and put it on the field come Saturday afternoon.
Well,
we got 1-1. One of each. What you going to do, Knicks? You're the deciding factor.
Yeah, I'm gonna give y'all the real from me, and not my fandom. My fandom is over here. I'm gonna give you the real from me, and man, this is where we're at. Cowboys will win this game. They're playing too soft. Clip it, run it back. Tell me. They're just too soft. I told you on the space. Those that were on the space before we got here. I don't see enough physicality offensively or defensively. It's bad. It's just bad in general. So yeah, if it's Gardner, it'll be closer. Facts, it'll be closer. And maybe the Cowboys can even steal it. But if it's Gardner Minshew, I'm gonna go 24-21 Eagles. If it's Hurts, 31-21 Eagles. 2 scores, either quarterback. Cowboys don't win. And ultimately, here's what I was going to say on the space spoon. Your mid show sermon. I didn't want to do it. I'm gonna do it anyways. I think I've watched enough chat and back and forth with everybody here. I think I've, watched and read enough of our, inboxes going back and forth over years worth here. And then I go back to the tape in general. And Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Kellen Moore, he's not figured it out. And that's our biggest problem. The Cowboys can get hot. Look, absolutely. The Cowboys can be scorching. And then out of nowhere, what we've learned this season, out of nowhere, dead. What happened? So hot. We're done. It's cooled off. It's whatever. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. I'm sorry. Oh, you dropped this in our chat about Dak EPA, right? Am I?
Yeah. So it was the EPA each quarterback has versus different defensive coverages. And
ask quarterback, right? Spoonie, ask quarterback here. Oh, go right ahead.
Yeah. So the things that Cowboys fans know is blitz Dak, he'll eat you alive. So cover 0, cover 1, his EPA is through the sky. He's one of the best in the NFL. Cover 2 man, and cover 3, it drops significantly. There's a huge. It's just obvious there when you look at the graphic. You also see the same with cover 2 man in particular, which is why I was advocating the last show that we did against the Eagles that the Cowboys should do that against Jalen Hurts. 19 of the 36 quarterbacks, 19 of 36 that qualify with enough passing attempts have a negative EPA against cover 2 man because of a plethora of reasons, which would take too long to go over all of that right now. But essentially, It is dropping a mixture of guys into zone and man at the same time. So it's giving you a different post-snap read than your pre-snap read. It makes it very difficult to account for that when you're passing. But we've seen this consistently, unfortunately, going back to last year, where when teams face the Cowboys and drop a lot of guys back in coverage, whether it's cover 3, 4, or 6, the Cowboys' offensive efficiency in the passing game drastically drops. You also see that with other quarterbacks, but it's more so with us. And it's interesting because that was also a Cooper Rush thing, not just a Dak Prescott thing, which tells me it's a Kellen Moore thing. We don't do enough zone beaters, and when we do too many mirrored concepts. Shout out to our guy Aaron for bringing that up. But we have a lot of routes that we run from a conceptual basis that don't attack the soft spots in a zone, which is always going to be mesh concepts, flood concepts, things like that, dagger concepts. Is where you can take advantage of these zone coverages that we're seeing. And teams know that, like, until we play a team that's zone heavy and throw all over them, we're going to continue to see this. And that's just kind of where we're at. And you can say, well, run the ball more, which, yes, running definitely helps you. Helps you force the defense to bring more guys into the box. It helps you win time of possession, where the defense lined out and things like that. But in reality, you still have to pass to win the NFL.
Hold on. Real quick, I'm gonna give you a solo again. There you go. Look, I've been waiting for this moment. I've been waiting for this moment for the Jacksonville game. I've been waiting for this. We've had the conversations. We went back and forth the whole 9. By all means, sir, that's you.
Yeah. So when you talk about running the ball, we hear this all the time. And I'm not saying this is necessarily why you put that comment, John, but a lot of fans, I've done it myself, so I'll admit to that, come up with a narrative in their head, or they hear a narrative and it will be true. But when it ceases to become true, you don't change the narrative or argument. And that's what's happened with the Cowboys in the run game this year. We've had a ton of games this year where the Cowboys won or lost, more so wins, obviously, looking at a record, where fans said we should have run the ball more. If we would have ran the ball here, this would have happened. Or if we ran the ball, all this anecdotal evidence. But the reality is we ran the ball 41 times. In the second half, we ran the ball 17 times for 36 yards. That's an issue. We've had 4 games now in a row where the second half, the run game was less efficient than the first half. Is that a Kellen Moore thing? Is that the running backs? Is that the offensive line? I don't know, but it's 4 games in a row now of the second half run attack being less efficient than the first half. That's a concern, because the whole idea is you should get more efficient as the game goes on because the defense is wearing down. And now that's suddenly when Zeke starts busting these big runs. Zeke or Tony, we have not seen that in the second half in games, and that's an issue. Also, the Cowboys have run the ball the 5th most rushing attempts in the NFL this year. So it's not like you can say we're pass heavy, because our run pass ratio is 51-49 or 52-48, something like that. We say all the time 60-40 is balanced in the NFL because it's a passing league. We literally are almost 50-50. And I don't know. Like, I don't know why fans still continuously say if you run the ball, you'll win the game, because we do run the ball and we do win games. But also when we lose, we're still running the ball. Aside from the Tampa game, we have not abandoned the run. We've continuously ran the ball. And it's just one of those things. If it's not efficient in the second half, at some point you have to throw the ball. And so you need to have zone beaters, because teams know that. They know if you blitz Dak, he'll eat you alive. If you play him in man, he'll eat you alive. So you drop back in zone. And until we beat it, teams will keep doing it.
Getting close to my hot take from the space over here. He touched. Look, Spoonie, touched on something. Just letting you know. My guy Mike Tech said, I've never walked out of the stadium disappointed when we played the Eagles. Don't plan on it starting. Don't plan on starting that on this Saturday. Sure, Cowboys all year have not lost back-to-back games. If you're looking for the silver lining, the Cowboys have not lost back-to-back games. So it's very intriguing in that standpoint and what they're going to do. Here's my take, Spoon. Here's my take. Cowboys won't get to a Super Bowl with Kellen Moore. Period. I don't care. Whatever capacity. They will never get there with Kellen Moore. I ain't talking about winning it. I'm telling you, get there. Because it's too many things from the tape. Forget the eye test, Shady McCoy. There's too many things tape-wise, time and time and time and time again from Kellen Moore that doesn't work in this league. I've been very patient. I got nasty inboxes talking about Kellen Moore years past. I've said this year, y'all can quote me here on the channel, go to the spaces. He's developed a pseudo counterpunch. What I've learned from Kellen Moore over the past couple of weeks, if the talent isn't there, the scheme won't matter. He needs scheme less than he needs talent. His scheme will work with ultimate talent. If he has less talent, he can't scheme them open. He does too many cute things with other guys and whatever the case may be. I'm just being honest with y'all. I'm here. It is what it is. The Cowboys will never reach a Super Bowl. And I'm here to eat crow. I've done it before. And if I'm wrong, I guarantee I'll show right back up here and eat the crow. The Cowboys are not getting to a Super Bowl with Kellen Moore's offensive coordinator. That's where I'm at, guys. I'll take all the heat from either one of you guys on that.
Nah, at the end of the day, you're being honest, and at the same time, don't get me wrong. If you look during the season, we're still struggling with the same situation from last year, the year past. You know, when we had Marvin Cooper, everything was fine. Take away Marvin Cooper and Cedric Wilson, we go with Lamb, a hurt Gallup, and Noah Brown getting his experience. We see it. You know, so you're not wrong in saying that Kellen Moore needs star players to basically succeed, because he doesn't scheme properly for lower tier guys. But at the same, listen, this team is talented enough. You're not wrong by saying, because due to Kellen still trying to figure things out, that they won't make it there. Listen, one of the top diehard Cowboy fan, I banged the table for them to replace Kellen Moore. I wish we had Ben McAdoo last year. That would have been the OC this year. That was my wish. This thing with Kellen Moore is too much. It's too much, and at the same time, he's not getting the hits and licks like Dak Prescott is every time. He's not. So you know, but my thing with Jerry Jones is pay less to OBJ's availability and pay more to what's going on in-house that we need to fix. Because if you give Mike McCarthy a little bit more say-so over Kellen Moore, if he doesn't have it, maybe that can help. Because why? Mike McCarthy is experienced. But, you know, we at week 15, this thing should have been done way early on. So I'm not mad at what you're saying. It's you being very honest.
Oh,
I mean, no, I can't disagree with you. I would love to. I would absolutely love to give you some intelligent rebuttal or passionate rebuttal, but I can't, because it's one of those things. You, as a fan, you can absolutely point to the numbers and you can say, well, we've had a top-ranked offense. We've done this and points per game, and that's true. It is. But from a confident standpoint, I'd be lying if I said that I feel confident that win games matter. And yes, winning regular season games against good teams, we've done. But when it matters and the chips are all on the table and we have to come up with a brilliant game plan, I don't think there's been a lot of times where we beat a good team that I necessarily said, Kellen just 100% outcoached them. I've said that about DQ before. I haven't said it about Kellen too many times. So if push comes to shove and you have to go through 3 road wins to make the Super Bowl, I think from a talent standpoint, we we have a good enough roster that we should be able to do that. But that's also hard to win road playoff games. And I just don't feel confident in Kellen right now to say that he will make the right adjustments as needed throughout games. And to be fair to him, he has been better in-game adjustments this year than years past. I'll give him credit for that. But until I see it, I'm kind of at the point now where seeing is believing, to quote the Santa Claus. It should be believing is seeing. But for me, until I see it, I don't believe it. I'm just not going to sip the Kool-Aid. I'm not going to fall for it again. We have concerns on different units, like offensive line, linebacker, secondary, other things like that. So it's not like everything's perfect and we just need him to be good enough as a play caller. We need him to overcome things as a play caller because of what we have with our offensive line. We need him to overcome things as a play caller because of what our wide receiver room looks like. We also have good running backs you can rely on, but at some point, teams are going to counter that, which we've seen in the second half, week after week after week, and we have not had the adjustment. So maybe it's coming. Maybe he's hiding plays like we talked about last year. Somebody in the chat asked that question. But until I see it, I don't believe it. So, no, I don't think he will win a Super Bowl with us. I would love that to be wrong, and I would happily eat crow on it, but that's my honest answer.
This defense has to go back to the Cooper Rush era. For the Cowboys to get to the Super Bowl, ain't not winning, get there. This defense has to go back to the Cooper Rush defense. It's where it was. And I think for Cowboys Nation, at least for me, the most disheartening thing is this defense has been at its worst, Spoonie, since Dak's been back. And that's frustrating because they beat really good teams. It's not like, oh, well, they played shit teams and then they came back over here. Oh, it's really good teams. It's not the same, energy.
Right.
It's not been the same. And it's just frustrating.
No, listen, it definitely is, man. With the injuries with this defense, the identity situation with this offense, this is where Jerry Jones really got to be in this coaching meeting. Man, listen, I don't know. I will hope that Mike McCarthy just puts it on the table. Kellen, you're too inexperienced. Make too many mistakes play calling. We heard Mike McCarthy criticize Kellen Moore on playbook, but then after that, we haven't heard that. Since I don't know if upper management has something to say about it. But again, this is you want to make change, right? You hire McCarthy, an experienced NFL head coach, but you're giving him somebody who still hasn't had the grasp that you're calling bad plays. So I don't know what's he gonna take. I don't know what it is. I mean, listen, I'll say this. If I ever hear Kellen Moore's the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys after this year,
I don't believe you.
I don't believe you either.
No, I don't believe Spoonie one iota on that. Like he tried. He tried to slide it in on us. So he tried. No.
Spoonie was very disingenuous.
I mean, listen. This is where Jerry. Listen, I'm not buying nothing from you, man. You sold enough. You sold enough. You have the greatest fans of the world.
Well,
give us this. Give us this trophy.
Oh, yeah.
We earned this.
Well, okay. I mean,
this.
Yeah.
Make it right.
See. Here's the thing. Eagles game. Me and O, we're out. Our pick-up league, though. Are you going to take the Eagles?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Eagles.
Shit. I thought I was going to get one there. I was going to take the Eagles, too.
Taking the Eagles.
Not
because I want to. Obviously, I want to.
No.
It's one of those things like you got to. If we're only giving you, and I mean this not only just from like content creator standpoint, but from a football fan to football fan. Like if we're gonna talk sports together, I would want you to be like, I respect O's opinion because he has rationale behind it and he believes it. He's not saying it just because he wants to win. Obviously, I would love for us to blow them out. I'd love to put 40 points on them and be like, who cares if you didn't have Jalen Hurts? We beat you by 30 points. Is there a 30-point difference? Probably not, whatever. But realistically, this is a game, primetime television. You're playing on a holiday. All eyes are going to be on this game. You're probably going to have 45 or 50 million people tuned into it, which would beat the Cowboys-Giants game, which was the highest watched regular season game ever.
I think there's a chance.
We should win this game. We should win this game. You're playing a backup quarterback, probably. No knock on him. Minshew's a good enough player, but still, you should win this game. But until they do it, make me a believer again.
That part. More. Kobe system. More. We want more. I've been on that for like a month and a half now. With that being said, not Debbie Downerish too much. Appreciate everybody for rocking with us. Of course, Friday we're in the building. I do think I've talked to Double I from Girls Talk Cowboys, Girls Talk Boys, I should say, from the mothership. I think she's on with us, and we'll see who else comes on. So y'all be safe. No, hold on. Now I want more from the Cowboys. Look, I want more from Kellen. How about that? Yeah, I want more around the board, but not take that O out. Take that O out. Just MORE, not two O's. How about that? With that being said, red carpet, because every Sunday, sometimes Saturday. Oh, some fire for your analytics out here.
Appreciate that. Yeah. So I'm actually writing it tomorrow. Gonna knock it out. But you can find me on Cowboys Wire. It's usatoday.cowboyswire.com. I do usually 2 articles a week. One is stats and advanced analytics based, which does a pretty good job, although we won 17 of 25 metrics last week and still lost. But again, when we talk about the numbers,
we had to lose those ways. It's the only way the Cowboys have to lose is in those realms.
Of course. But yeah, so that should be out this week. It's called the Advanced Stat Notebook, and it breaks down EPA, DVOA, toxicity, and adjusted net yardage per attempt, or ANYA. If you don't know what that stuff means, don't worry. I explain it in the article, and then I give you the context behind it, and then I give you more information about it. So you should know from a statistical standpoint how we measure up with this team. I did see in the chat, what do we call it? BLS? Is that BLS? Yeah. So BLS put that the number 1 scoring offense resides in Dallas. Unfortunately, that's not true. We have the 3rd scoring offense, but we are top 3. Number one
since Dak's been back, though. Yeah. That's where it's at.
Okay, but right now we're number 3, so we're up there. So that part's fair. But the second article will be best Twitter reaction. So if you feel positively or negatively about the game and it's an entertaining tweet, I will try my best to find it and put it in the article. But yeah, you can find me there. And then obviously Friday we will be back with the boys. Maybe Mariella, maybe Camber, maybe Aisha. You really never know who's going to show up. So we'll be here Friday.
TC Wrench Gang, go right ahead, sir. Plug that. Spoony?
You can find me at Spoony881 on Twitter. You can find me here with Pick 6 Sports Wednesdays and Fridays. Let's dominate, then celebrate.
Man, I mean, dominate, celebrate. Let's go. Say less. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great night. If you are not back here for Friday, by all means, Merry Christmas. Hopefully your holidays are blessed. You're good to go. You know what I'm saying? Make it happen. Tis the season to give. If you have it to give, make sure you give. I'll leave it with that. And go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
We're in the playoffs. We moonwalked in, but we're in the playoffs, damn it. First time back-to-back since when,
95-96. It was actually a 4-year stretch there, but 95-96 last time back-to-back 10-plus win seasons.
Hey, celebrate back-to-back. Been a while. It's been a while. I ain't gonna sing that song, though. Y'all be safe. Peace.